Josh, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, good.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
No, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about the film. It's such a special movie, so it's great to be able to speak to you about it.
Oh, so happy to be here. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. And as I just said to Carlos, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about such a wonderful film.
Of course. Are you also UK? Is it 10:09 p.m. over there?
It is, yes.
Thank you for doing this at 10:09 p.m.
Oh, no worries at all. I've done later, so it's no trouble. But it's like I said, it's great to speak to you both. And I feel like a lot of our readers are going to know that obviously you both collaborated on Raya and the Last Dragon. But I was wondering what led you from that to working on a project like Summertime together?
Do you want to go, Kelly, or do you want me to start? I'll start. So yeah, Kelly and I were just getting off of Raya. We actually had our very last engagement with it, which was in sort of like the release campaign. We were doing this live screening here in LA, and we decided to go out for dinner after. And we just had this really beautiful conversation about what we were up to next and what were the kinds of projects that we were excited and inspired about. She was telling me, all the kinds of stories that have been moving her, the kinds of projects that she's been supporting, and for some reason, if I said, look, I'm working on this movie called Summertime. It's a really special thing that's really close to my heart, and I kind of feel like I should just tell you about it. And I should show you it. So I screened the movie for her, and she can tell you about her reaction. But I think it was very similar to the one that I had when I was first introduced to this group of poets, which was just this really profound healing experience from seeing all these young artists use their voice to promote like real positive change. And it happened to me 2 years ago, and since then I've just been really trying to find ways to support their voices as much as possible, and that's what Summertime is. So I showed it to Kelly, and she decided to graciously sort of like join our project and help us become just a step in the journey of these artists' careers. So I think we're just happy right now to put out in the world. I don't know, Kelly, do you want to add, or
I
no?
think that was perfect.
Great.
Yeah.
And for you, Kelly, obviously you were coming off projects like Star Wars and a big Disney film, which are part of this big machine. So was it important for you to be able, as a producer, to have some input to a project like this and to maybe stretch your creative imagination in a different way?
Oh, yeah. I think it's a little different with Summertime because I came onto the project after it was already completed. But I will say, even just in, a lot of the things that we've done to sort of help usher this film into the world, like I had a weird idea about learning how to write poetry, and we made that happen, and things like that are really cool. Just in terms of the experience of helping usher this film into the world. I definitely feel like I have learned so much from this community of poets. They've honestly, it almost feels like it feels like they're teaching me more than I could ever teach them in a really beautiful way. And I'm just grateful.
That's awesome. I read online that you were looking to maybe get involved with the Get Lit workshop. So I was just wondering, did you get a chance to do that with COVID, or are you still waiting to try that out?
Well, yes, Carlos and I both went through a poetry boot camp and learned how to write poetry and performed poetry. And it was incredible and horrifying and absolutely beautiful. And I am excited to continue on a poetry journey.
Amazing. And for you, Carlos, obviously coming onto a project like this one, what would you say were the biggest challenges with taking these incredible poems we hear throughout the film, but then turning them into a narrative that we see intersects as the film continues?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge was the uncertainty that came with the project. The way that we developed it was quick and was very unorthodox. It not at all how you normally develop a movie, where you know work really long on a script and get it to a place where it's very solid, and then bring on the next tier of collaborators, and then do the pre-production and do the casting. This was all, the entirety of the movie was put together over a summer workshop. I think it took 4 months. The beginning of it, we had nothing. At the end of it, we had shot a movie. And as you can imagine, just every step of the process was unlike the one that you traditionally follow. So casting, uh, most of the people in the movie are making their feature film debut. A lot of, I mean, none of the poets had ever acted professionally in front of a movie camera. They had never written a movie. So we knew from early on that we had to embrace the chaos, that we had to embrace the imperfections, that we had, that the beauty of the movie was going to be in how honestly we could capture the voices of the poets, and that nothing else mattered. And that was the most difficult thing, that was the scariest thing, but it also just became the most satisfying, and I think the most beautiful thing about it, just the fact that we were all in this together. We were improvising the whole movie together, but ultimately I think we were able to capture the real sort of like vulnerability and this like extreme empathy that the poets operate under. And I think that's really what the objective was, and we're just so proud that we were able to do it. It was terrifying, but we did it.
I bet. And with you, Kelly, being a producer on the project, when you look ahead to the future, and both of you for that matter, I know this film is very much quintessentially Los Angeles, but do you think you could take this concept to different cities? Not necessarily for a sequel, but to maybe explore other stories, like whether it be New York or London. How would you feel about that?
You brought up London, which is one of my favorite places in the world. I mean, I would just love to be in London and just watch theater all the time and make magical things with Carlos. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie really aims to empower voices to just be loud and say the things that are important to them, and I think that's what the poets did here. So if we're able to do that with other communities, whether it's here in Los Angeles or beyond, I think that would be the dream, just for young people to feel like whatever it is that they have to say and whatever is important to them, and that burning thing that's in their chest, they for them to feel empowered to share it with as many people as possible. I think, yeah, that would be the absolute ultimate dream.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. And talking of empowering, the film is very empowering. And I think one of my favorite scenes was the one on the bus with the young woman talking about her sexuality and why she's not ashamed of that. And it feels particularly poignant with like this obviously being Pride Month. But I was wondering for you both, were there any poems in the film that particularly resonated with you, or is it just too difficult to pick? Because they are all just fantastic.
I would say for me that, I mean, definitely difficult to pick, but I'm partial to the last poem. It's called Clouds. And the only reason why I'm partial to it is because it's about intersectionality, and it's about the importance of stories. And to me, it just perfectly encapsulates what the movie is. And also in the film, it's sort of like the moment that brings all of the stories together, and the moment that sort of like gives us the perspective of saying we are all a part of this bigger narrative, and what we're saying matters, our stories matter. So that to me also just because of what it represents for the movie, I think it just really affects me every single time I see it. How about you, Kelly?
I'm so bad at picking a favorite. I will say this. I think my favorite thing about this film and about all the poets in general is the idea that here are these 27, young artists who are being really brave and vulnerable and sharing parts of themselves that are hard and scary to share. I mean, I think Carlos and I, after having gone through our poetry boot camp, like realized how scary it is to share something that comes from the inside of you that way. It is such a noble art form. You know, I think that I can't pick a favorite, but I will say my favorite thing about this community is just the ability to continue to do scary things and then to share parts of yourself that maybe society has told us we shouldn't share. That is something that I forever. So.
Oh, amazing. And one final question for you both. Obviously, Summertime is coming out the same day in the States as Black Widow, which is a big film, but there's room for both, I think, especially with the way everything's been closed up for the past year. But that got me wondering, would you, Kelly, as an actor, and you, Carlos, as a director, is that Marvel Universe something you would both like to play in, especially if you can bring the sort of positive messages we see in Summertime into a project like that?
I think Kelly should be a part of every cinematic universe that exists, Marvel including. So I'm gonna answer for her that I hope she's a part of it and all. Yeah, I mean, I think for me as a director, I have been very inspired by all the movies and all the people that I've gotten a chance to work with, including the Summertime Poets, including Kelly. And I would just hope that, I mean, not that I would hope, I am going to do everything within my power to continue working on projects that I can be equally as inspired by. So whether it's, you know, Summertime 2, The Return of Summertime, or a Marvel thing, I think that I'm just gonna have to follow my gut and try to surround myself with people that I find as inspiring as Kelly Marie Tran.
No, I agree. I have a similar way of looking at my career where it's really, I just want to surprise myself. I want to do things I didn't think I could do. I didn't think I could be in Star Wars. I didn't think I could be in Raya. And doing things that I thought were impossible has been a really big impetus for me. And I want to keep doing that. So whatever that is, let those things come. And I am excited to continue to do impossible things with Carlos López Estrada.
Well, I'd say after seeing this film and Raya, you two are something of a dream team. So I really hope that happens. And thank you so much for your time to talk about, as I said, such a wonderful film.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Lovely speaking to you. Have a great day, guys.
Good night, Josh.
Good night.